With already saturated grounds, another heavy round of rain is hitting Malibu, making for more hazardous driving conditions.
We had a bunch of rock slides in the last couple of rains, especially Malibu Canyon, so please be careful when you drive.
We are live.
It's being called the biggest zoning change in the history of Malibu. A preview of the important city planning hearing that's happening tonight.
The city of Malibu moves to make al fresco dining permanent, but it comes with hurdles to overcome first.
I wanted more animals than my parents would allow me to have.
And his love for animals has led to him caring for Malibu's pets for almost 30 years. News at 5 starts now.
Malibu's only live newscast. This is Newswaves 32, live.
More rain is falling, and it's expected to increase in intensity this evening. Good evening, I'm Joe Allgood.
And I'm Zoe Hunt. Welcome to Newswaves. We are on alert as yet another storm is slamming Southern California today. We begin our coverage with Newswaves 32 reporter Carolyn Kimball, who is out in the elements as fears rise about potential flooding and slides. Carolyn?
Thanks, Zoe. I'm standing at one of the entrances to Malibu Canyon. Road officials are closely watching and clearing, advising drivers to proceed with caution or avoid the area altogether as the heaviest rain from tonight's storm is picking up between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m.
So please be careful on the canyon roads. We had a bunch of rock slides in the last couple of rains, especially Malibu Canyon.
With just 2 inches of rainfall from Friday's storm, the canyon had smaller rock slides, but this happened less than 2 weeks ago following a bigger storm. Another storm arrived today, bringing heavier rain. This storm is expected to last through tomorrow, dropping close to 5 more inches of rain.
So that is definitely concerning given the current saturation. So we'll definitely be closely watching the canyons and city streets tomorrow and issuing any appropriate alerts.
The storm is classified as another atmospheric flood, which occurs when water-saturated air moves to higher latitudes, causing intense periods of unrelenting rain. Most people are over it.
I drive through Malibu Canyon all the time, so I mean, there's like rock slides sometimes, so it's kind of sketchy.
While Southern California will experience the worst of the storm tonight, Northern California was hit first, triggering forced evacuations. Most of the state is under a flood watch. With the rain adding to already saturated hillsides, drivers in our area should be prepared for hazardous road conditions, including falling debris, traffic signal outages, and flooding. City and county public works crews and the Caltrans are monitoring PCH and canyon roads using blade trucks to keep the roadways clear and checking and clearing drains. But
if folks can stay off the road if possible, it would probably be much advised.
Still, a bright side is how needed the rain is.
It was like hiking in Ireland. And if you want a great experience up there, you ought to get up there quickly before the rain stops completely, because you're never going to see it any lusher than it is right now.
Yes, we need the rain, but maybe not this much. Down the road from me the other direction, Malibu Bluffs Park and Trancas Canyon Park are now closed. Depending on the soil saturation, the areas may not reopen for the next few days. We did hear of a bad accident on PCH and Carbon Canyon. I'll now send it back to Marley in the Newswaves studio, who has been tracking the storm for you. Marley?
Thank you, Carolyn. Get dry when you can. As Carolyn just mentioned, the most significant rain is still a few hours away. Models are showing the most intense period from 6 p.m. this evening until 6 a.m. tomorrow, when half an inch of rain could fall within an hour. Currently, it is 57 degrees in Malibu. This storm is generated by yet another atmospheric river. It'll dump more rain on Southern California than we saw Friday, as that storm was more concentrated in the northern part of the state. We are looking at 3 to 6 inches of rain before the storm passes on tomorrow. That's when the National Weather Service flood watch that we have in effect will expire. Okay, I'm tracking it all, and I'll be back with your full forecast in about 7 minutes. Unfortunately, the weekend forecast has more, you guessed it, rain. But it's not looking anything like this storm. Back to you guys at the desk, Zoe and Joe.
Thank you for that update, Marley, and it's too bad to hear there's more rain on the way. In our other top story, they're supposed to create more affordable housing options.
The Planning Commission is set to start a special hearing on accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. Abby Wilt is here with the details. Abby?
Thanks, Zoe. In just over an hour at 6:30, the Planning Commission will begin a special meeting to discuss accessory dwelling units in Malibu, like guest houses and detached garages. The meeting is expected to include at least an hour of public comment with positions on both sides of the debate. A historic hearing in Malibu.
This is the biggest change in the zoning of Malibu in the history of Malibu.
Tuesday night, Malibu's Planning Commission will hold a public hearing about accessory dwelling units in Malibu and is set to make a decision. If passed, the amendment would allow the state to approve permits for accessory dwelling units, such as guest houses and detached garages, rather than the city.
Makes every permit not come to us.
The amendment would enforce state laws, namely a maximum of 900 square feet per unit and the requirement of a parking space for every accessory dwelling unit. The amendment also ensures the units would be more affordable for homeowners.
You know, and there's no reason we shouldn't do it right.
The public is expected to come with comment, with some people in the past urging the commission to understand how vital the units are to their well-being and their budget. Still, other members of the public say the amendment is useless and that the city only wants mansions to be built and already allows guest houses. The meeting is expected to be long, with lots of public comment and differing opinions on how important the decision is or what the commission should do.
This proposed amendment makes zero changes to what we already do.
Others disagree, stating the amendment is important to the city.
Well, it changes every...
The commission is staying committed to giving their 6-year project their full attention, as tonight's meeting was previously rescheduled to give the commission more time.
I mean, because this is going to be a big meeting, so...
Time will tell if the commission decides to approve the amendment and give full control of guest house permits in Malibu to the state. One thing that is certain is that Commission and City will not allow accessory dwelling units to be rented as short-term rentals, but change in permitting could open up more long-term rentals in the city. Even if the Commission approves the amendment tonight, the City Council still has to vote on it for it to pass. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you for that update, Abby. This morning, Malibu City's Public Safety Department hosted a virtual meeting to discuss the current homelessness situation in the city. At the meeting, Malibu residents voiced concerns about clearing homeless encampments off private properties and fire hazardous areas. With the 3 homeless shelter beds Malibu recently secured in Santa Monica already filled, rehousing the homeless within Malibu was brought up as a suggestion. Terry Davis, a member of Malibu's homelessness task force, agreed, saying that while the city would like to help the homeless, they'd like to help them outside of Malibu.
A collaborative effort is underway to provide a permanent home for the Malibu Community Labor Exchange. Since 2018, the nonprofit, a fixture in this community, has operated out of a rented office trailer. During the building of the new Santa Monica City College campus, that trailer and a separate restroom trailer had to be moved several times. Now, last night, the City Council heard the plan to build a permanent structure for the labor exchange in the far northeast corner of the college campus on a parcel of county land.
I'm happy that the college and the county seem to be working with MLC, and that this is moving forward, and we're going to get hopefully a new trailer for them and keep these operations going.
Because the permanent structure will be down the road from where the trailers used to be, the college is looking to put up signs. The cost of the permanent building and all utilities is estimated at $270,000. The city is securing the outside money from a grant to cover the cost.
Amid criticism about a slowdown in progress, the City Council also received an update on the split from the SMM-USD last night.
I will say that there has been progress since November. I think the theme is it's not progress happening as fast as we would like, but it is progress nonetheless.
Deputy City Attorney Christine Wood admitted that since the city entered into a term sheet with the SMM-USD in November, progress has been slow. But she explained behind the scenes things are happening in the separation process. Most notably, coming up next Tuesday, the city's ad hoc committee and the district's committee will meet with the mediators to iron out the required financial sharing agreement. An outline of the operational agreement for how the new Malibu School District will run has also been drafted. In his update, Mayor Silverstein said he is not going to, quote, hold his breath for actual action in the split.
Light up the night, the local area that's set to get a nighttime look.
Plus, it was a bright spot of the pandemic for many. Liza?
Well, today's definitely not bringing the right weather for it, but up next, from parking to a streamlined permit process, the city is looking to make outdoor dining permanent.
Someone you love or someone you know who you care about could die because of the way this road is right now.
And a family's quest to expose the dangers of PCH. We take you into the grief and drive behind the documentary film 21 Miles in Malibu.
Call to move unhoused people out of Malibu. The threats to the city discussed at today's meeting of the Homelessness Task Force.
Rock slides and road closures. What roads to avoid on your daily commute this week?
And pricey pumpkins are sprouting. How the California drought might make a dent in your wallet this fall. News at 5 starts now.
Malibu's only live newscast. This is Newswaves 32, live.
Malibu moving forward with a plan to move unhoused people out as wildfire season moves in. Good evening, I'm Marley Panagos.
And I'm Abby Wilt. Welcome to Newswaves. A meeting of the city's homeless task force ended just minutes ago, with the force all voting to carry a motion forward to the City Council for approval. It includes funding for homeless beds. Newswaves reporter Kylie Gibb joins us live outside City Hall with details. Kylie?
Thanks, Abby. The Homelessness Task Force meeting was just held where they discussed the motion to move homeless encampments out of wildfire-prone areas. The meeting lasted 2 hours and the council unanimously voted to carry the motion. With fire season upon us, the city believes that they must address the threat that wildfires pose on homeless encampments. The resolution enables the LA County Sheriff's Department and the Homelessness Task Force to quickly remove unhoused individuals on public property that are identified as fire or traffic threats. In addition to posing a fire threat, the council identified drug overdoses, traffic fatalities, and the impact of unhoused people on local businesses and residencies as motives for the reform. The city plans to remove unhoused people from brush-covered hills and canyons around Malibu and place them in emergency shelters. The unhoused people who are placed in shelters will be connected to a network of healthcare and housing services. Task Force member Kelly Pestis proposed to implement a homelessness hotline, educate sheriff's deputies in confrontation tactics, and move homeless people from fire risk areas into temporary shelters. The council voted to propose to City Council the allocation of funds towards securing beds, the enforcement of laws and ordinances, and the prohibition of overnight parking. The task force plans to discuss budgeting and enforcing strategies during their next meeting. Back to you, Abby.
Thanks, Kylie. Also based on safety concerns, the Malibu City Council is still pushing LA County to not move violent offenders to Camp Kilpatrick.
And every now and then there would be somebody who'd walk away from the camp, which was very easy for them to do because the camp is an open camp.
Camp Kilpatrick, which is a low-security juvenile detention center located off Canaan Road, is potentially going to house offenders who have committed violent crimes. The city has requested multiple times for the county to move the offenders elsewhere. On September 14th, the city wrote a letter opposing the move. The letter claims there is a possibility of having all the serious offenders have to evacuate due to a wildfire, as they had to do at the camp during the Woolsey fire. In a press release just yesterday, the city said there are 52 men immediately ready to move to Camp Kilpatrick, but the city is not ready.
A Calabasas pharmacist will face her sentencing in February after being charged with healthcare fraud. 53-year-old Irina Sadovsky was convicted Friday for submitting claims to Medicare and Medi-Cal for prescription drugs that never made it to customers, but were instead provided to her co-conspirators, who sold the drugs on the black market. She will appear in court on February 3rd, where she will have to face a penalty of up to 15 years in prison.
A stretch of road from PCH to Encinal Canyon Road remains closed in both directions. Crews are continuing to remove debris from a rock slide that occurred last Tuesday. Caltrans says they are stabilizing the hillside and preparing the slope for mesh installment to help prevent future slides. Residents with identification will be permitted on the southbound side only. Other motorists are being directed to Encinal Canyon Road.
The Malibu Bluffs Park Snack Shack may be coming back in a new and improved way. The Parks and Rec Commission will discuss improving the Malibu Bluffs Snack Shack tonight in their meeting that starts in less than 30 minutes. After community activities started to return to normalcy last summer, the Community Service Department began exploring ways to improve the dormant snack stand. Possible updates include refurbishing the current structure or replacing it with food trucks.
Voting season is in full swing as vote-by-mail ballots are arriving in mailboxes.
A big question during every election is how to engage young voters. Christina is live with us in the studio. Christina, with a focus on court decisions and the power of voting, are college voters planning to participate?
It has been pretty divided among students. While some students are trying to receive their home state ballots by mail, others do not feel their vote will be impactful, or simply cannot find the time to research and navigate the voting process. Midterm elections coming up, many young voters seem unprepared to vote.
I know that they are coming up, but I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I don't even know what they're about.
With all the responsibilities of college, students like Annie Cook feel they have little time to do election research.
There's just so much going on campus, and honestly, it just kind of feels like you're a little bit removed in a way.
However, other students are making efforts to engage.
I have a reminder on my phone that says register to vote.
There's a lot on the line for Palmer's home state, Pennsylvania, in the upcoming election, so he plans to cast his ballot by mail.
It's a pretty big election. It's a swing state.
Palmer says that while he does not usually vote in local elections, he always tries to vote in every large-scale election.
I think at least in midterm and presidential elections is really important. It's a really good way to be involved with the political system and to make your voice heard.
However, Palmer says students can be reluctant to vote if their state swings heavily to one political party, and they fear their vote won't make a difference.
At least in Pennsylvania, I know that the elections are close enough that I'm very confident my vote will count, but it might be harder in a state like maybe California or Texas, where it just tends to go one way overwhelmingly the whole time.
Senior Sammy Wenchie is one of those students.
I tend to vote blue, and I'm from Texas, so sometimes it feels like my vote isn't as impactful as it would be.
On the other hand, junior Aaliyah Lemos became discouraged when researching how to cast her vote while living out of state for college.
I looked it up with Florida's voting restrictions. It's going to be a real hassle to vote there.
Despite wanting to vote, Lemos questions if navigating the difficult voting process is worth her vote.
It's kind of a shame because I do have strong feelings about my governor back home.
While when she does not plan to participate in the upcoming election, she still believes it's important for students to vote to offer a different perspective from older generations.
We have very specific insights, specifically related to compassionate voting and voting with intentionality from the heart.
Students still have a chance to register. In California, October 24th is the last day to register to vote online or by mail. Also, tonight at 6 p.m., Malibu Pacific Church will host a Malibu City Council Candidates Forum, where voters can meet the candidates.
Thank you, Christina. That forum sounds so interesting. Marley, I did just get my ballot in the mail. Have you registered to vote yet?
Yes, I have. I'm registered and I'm excited.
I am also very excited. Just when we thought fall sweater weather was here to stay,
Mother Nature has other plans. Details on the weather warm-up next.
Plus, prices of some fall staples are reaching scary new heights.
Maybe this year you should be coming to pumpkin patches like here at Bennett's Best Pumpkins. to pay for pumpkins ahead of Halloween.